and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus, on the forum.
This is Parker, go by Dr. Mantis Toboggan MD on forums.
This is Jeremy. Allergies have stopped trying to murder me, so I can go back on the forums again.
Nice.
I was headed to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag fuck allergies and trees.
You see, so I've never really had noticeable allergies. Like, in the springtime, I'll get dried out and stuff, but, like, that's about it. I don't really have active allergies. But what I notice when I go into the forums is I get allergic to everything immediately upon reaching the forums, and I have to log off. Like, it almost kills me. I think it has something to do with some of the things that get posted there.
The forums make your nose run and your eyes
No,
run.
like, just blood comes out of my eyes, and I just pass out. Like, I don't know what happened.
You go into shock.
Yeah.
I actually get hives, intense hives.
You just break out in hives.
Yeah.
So anyway, quick announcements. Parker, we're at 936 remaining episodes.
And counting.
If you want to wager some more episodes, just let me know. We can definitely set up some more bets for you. You're really good at those, by the way.
Okay.
Batting 1,000. Probationary episodes.
Nearly 1,000, yes.
Nearly 1,000. Parker, you better hurry up and pay up on those 11 pizza rolls you owe Jeremy. We're discontinuing them at the store, so they're going to be much harder to get.
Oh,
soon.
no. I'll have to bring
Nice.
this up.
Parker is still prohibited from saying the words pineapple, blade, antiquing, or asterisk.
Mm-hmm.
We need to come up with a new mystery word. How devious can I make this one? I'm just going to keep making it more and more commonplace every time.
Oh, please don't.
Like words like the and.
Yeah, you already made that promise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to Parker is going to sound like a bad phone line. They'll just cut out every 3 seconds. Yeah. Alrighty, cool. So let's get to news.
So the only news I have is that Atomic Mass Games is now too busy alienating Star Wars fans to post anything meaningful for MCP.
Man, Star Wars fans really hate people that are named Will. I don't get
Yeah.
it. Why do they hate the Wills so much?
Yeah, they are. It's the little side note, very small side note. I went ahead and read some, X-Wing rules, the rules they changed, and I got about 3 paragraphs in, and I went, nope, and I closed it. and that's a game I'm not even emotionally invested in anymore. I don't think.
You're saying that you also don't like the rules.
I'm saying that it changes the game fundamentally enough for me that I already am. Like, it reaches my energy of activation, right? Like, my affective filter
You're having to learn all over again,
yes.
So fuck it.
It was like, this is it feels... Now, if anybody was excited about a brand new game, if that's what they wanted, then that's, I think, what it feels like they're getting, in my opinion. But it looks like...
Well, I think they took one look at X-Wing and said, this is not a game we want to produce, and then just tried to change it. Like, I don't think they had any intention of ever continuing what X-Wing or even Armada were ever before. Right. They're like, okay, well, these are not games that we would consider viable in today's meta. And so, like, we're going to try to make them into something that we could see lasting the test of time. So that would be my assumption, but I haven't really delved into it. I never really respected X-Wing. That was a fun little pastime, but the vast amount of enjoyment I got from it was just the creativity and list building, which immediately broke down for me on the table. I never thought the game itself was actually interesting or really fun. I enjoyed
the skill progression of, like, feeling the fly and the maneuver templates and things like that. As long as you didn't take it too seriously and you were really invested in it being a super tight game, because it automatically wasn't. But recently, with the changes they've made, it doesn't feel. I don't think it. Both the stuff about the mission objectives on the board and the way the list construction works now, I think it would feel like a very, very, very different game than any one I've played so far. I think it's funny they're calling it. They're a lot of people in the community, or maybe they themselves coined it, like version 2.0. It looks like version 4.3. It looks like.
I've heard it called 2.5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. 2.5. That's right. It doesn't look like that to me from the outside. But anyway, that's our news. That Star Wars fans are diehards will keep playing, of course, but people feel a little off put by the new stuff. But they're too busy making that happen to bother with us. So no news.
They ran out of characters. Marvel just doesn't have any more, I don't think. There's just no more.
Yeah, no, that's really what it's all about.
I think
they just ran out of like IP copyright for the Marvel universe.
That's it.
They scraped.
They've
how
printed everyone?
Where is there to go?
We already have 2 Black Widows. They've literally hit
Two Black Widows.
I was gonna say they've already plumbed the deepest recesses with Viper, so I think we're good.
Yeah,
Viper.
Yeah. If you could envision the Mariana Trench, they're like literally at the Earth's core, and they're like, nope, there's nothing else down here.
Nope.
That's it. Just more Scarlet Witches.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
So, in all earnest, how big of an announcement do you think is coming? Because obviously, we all know that in June, I think it is, we're expecting the mini extravaganza, or is it Is it in May?
I think it's June. I think you're right. I think it's June.
Can one of you guys research that for me?
I'll look.
I believe they. Okay. I know we did this last time too, but I think it's like late May.
I'm gonna say I bet the next announcement has upwards of 20 new models.
Because the last mini extravaganza, we got the balance update that had like 15 erratas.
Mm-hmm.
We also got the updated restricted list and the change to mission selection and tactics card slots and to Infinity Stones. We also heard that the card pack is coming.
I found it. It's June.
Damn it. So we're looking at least 6 weeks probably.
Mm-hmm.
But God, that's going to be a big radio silence. Because it's already been like a month and a half since we've gotten anything big. Last things we got were already out now with Fury and Daredevil.
And Orgoth. They did Orgoth recently.
Yeah. We got Orgoth coming down the pipe.
They got Orgoth.
Oh my God.
Colossal Orgoth.
Talk about a company that's just completely fucking like empty at the helm. Oh my God. I listened to on the way to Adepticon, Aaron was playing some War Machine podcasts, and just every one of them was like, yeah, as soon as we get any kind of news, this would be great, because they haven't released a model in like, I don't know, it was like 9 months or some shit. I'm like, holy crap. Like, that sounds so bad.
God.
They lost one of their air quotes lead designer was poached by another company, and they just like never replaced their lead designer and just said like, we're good with that lead designer. I'm like, what? Oh, it sounds so bad. Anyway, so Atomic Mass Games isn't in that situation, which is great. Maybe, although, I mean, they did get 3 new games dumped on them, and I don't know that they've hired that many people yet. So they might just be a little bogged down and can't keep up with their old release schedule. But I remember about 6 months ago, we were talking about we wanted them to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what's happened. Like, we're getting
That's true.
about half the releases that we were getting last year, which is, I think, a healthy release schedule. It's more about the complete lack of news more than the lack of releases.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's kind of just like things were coming out so quickly that the news was like, well, it's got to be more stuff this week, right? But now that it's slowing down, we have to adjust to the new news cycle, which is only going to be like once a month. And we're also right before the mini extravaganza thing, so we're going to be in a lull for news also. So I think the big front runners they're going to announce Fantastic Four is most people's guess, I believe. But that's obviously not confirmed or anything. That's just what a lot of people were thinking.
That's what I would guess. I mean, it would make sense.
That feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the last big IP that hasn't really been touched at all yet.
Is there any other horseshit thing like in Humans they could come up with?
Yeah.
Morlocks.
Come on, guys. Eternals. You know
Oh
they're
no!
gonna do it eventually.
You son of a bitch. They better not.
They're
They
going
fucking
to.
better
I
not.
refuse to believe that the Eternals movie came out and they just missed their opportunity. I refuse to believe that was even an option. Because we knew Black Widow like 8 months before the fucking movie came out. Like, we would have heard something about Eternals. Even if they were delayed.
Oh man.
Right?
I want Russian Captain America so bad.
Red Guardian.
Oh, awesome.
I'm the Red Guardian. I like how everyone in the movie kept trying to point out that, like, he was never alive
Yeah.
during Captain America's
Yeah.
tenure. And he's like,
Yeah.
he was frozen in ice, you jackass. He's like, what are you saying? You saying I'm a liar? It's like, yes! That's so great. I have to say that I thought that actor, after seeing him in Stranger Things, was just kind of shoehorned into a bunch of shit.
Mhm.
Like, they put him in Hellboy, and it felt like a really weird casting. I wasn't really happy
That was
with.
weird. Yeah.
And there was a bunch of weird shit he was in back to back to back. I don't know if it was him trying to capitalize on his stardom or if people saw him and thought that he was just great and wanted to put him in everything. But he was amazing as the Red Guardian. That was spot on casting.
Perfect.
Yeah, he to me saved that whole movie. Like, I loved him in that movie.
Yeah.
He kept it alive.
It was really the two new people. It was him and Yelena. And if it wasn't for those two, that movie would have been complete dog shit.
Yep, I agree.
I assume you guys saw Hawkeye with her in it. That was mostly fun stuff too.
Yep. Yeah, the way they
All right,
mix them all together and all the Marvel stuff is just swimming throughout itself is so cool.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to playing currently. So we're gonna do some game recaps. I have played 0 games since our last podcast, which has been sad. I expect to play more soon, but it's currently just a hope. I might die.
I didn't get to play any games either because I didn't get to go to the tournament. I would have played all the games of the tournament. I'm excited to play tomorrow. I'm going to be playing the tactics card Eye in the Sky, and also probably Shield. But I think the thing I'll actually be playing is Eye in the Sky because that's the only thing I can find in the Shield faction that does a thing. Am I crazy? Is that the only?
So let's talk about this real quick.
Okay.
Does anyone else think that this card's going to get nerfed?
Eye in the Sky?
Yeah.
It seems really, really, really good. But so does the convocation one that changes your attack dice into mystical, from physical to mystical. That also seems really good to use every turn. As does a card that says everybody close to Magneto gets perma cover. All those seem really good.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of the wrong card. No.
Oh.
I think the characters that abuse Eye in the Sky is going to get changed, but I think Reposition is the one that's going to get errated. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, you think it's going to include have no objectives? I think that's the
no objectives. Yeah, I think that's going to get stapled on there. I feel like that was just an oversight.
Yeah, I would think so. It would make sense for them to have that like in that way.
Another thing that you might look at the Crisis Protocol number on the box. It's box 55. Which was meant if they're designing them in numerical order. I know they don't get released in numerical order, but if they're designing them in numerical order. Let's look at come on. Black Cat is box 37. And so I'm wondering if they made the changes after these cards got printed. When they found out that, like, oh, you can't, teleport with tokens. And so, like, what's the name of the card? Rainbow Bridge got changed to no objective tokens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that got changed to no objective tokens. Enchantress got changed to costing an action. All of those changes seem to happen in a lower SKU release. But here, let me confirm Enchantress. She's 28. And so I think it was around, like, landmark of 30 plus that they realized after like 50 that these were problems, and they've started correcting them since, but the cards for the other ones were probably already printed and like sent to the production company,
right?
And so it was too late to fix them. So I'm wondering if maybe that's why we didn't see a Black Cat nerf at the same time as Enchantress.
The Reposition card is, I think, absolutely a card that will probably brought in line with the other ones because it stands out. But I don't think it automatically breaks every game. It's just, if he gets the herb, then that's a really great way to return the herb. So it should change. But that's where, like, the situations in which it will be dangerous or things like that.
Yeah, but as we've seen, I think recently with a lot of competitive games, and Jeremy might agree with this, if somebody has a way to manipulate scenario, they're going to push it as hard as they possibly can, and they're not going to just play it as like a convenient card, like Hired Muscle. Hired Muscle
Right.
immediately became the most abused card in the game, even though if you gave it to a newer player, the odds of them figuring out how broken it was probably like a 1 in 5 shot. But
Right.
it instantly, once one person figures it out, it just spreads through the entire community.
Yeah.
Now everyone's trying to do it.
What do they call that? Shoot. In video gaming, there's a word for that whenever it's a strategy that you play. It's usually like multiplayer games like first-person shooters and things, where if you're not playing this strategy, you're just automatically putting yourself at a disadvantage. So why aren't you playing the strategy? It was like, I just can't remember the name of the sound. I just can't remember the damn word. That makes me really mad. I'm going to have to figure out what it is. But the point is that oftentimes when you see other players doing that, it's kind of seen as the low road, right?
Yeah, it's like you're not doing it the hard way.
Right,
yeah.
right. You're not actually relying upon your skill. You're just using a mechanic in the game that obviously wasn't intended for this purpose, right? But at the same time, if you're trying to win, if you're like in a competitive environment and the point is to win, you definitely should be doing this, or you're just playing down. You're just handicapping yourself. But that's functionally what cards like Reposition feel like. You're just like, if you're not playing Reposition, you better have a really good reason, because you're just playing down, because all the other Reposition like cards don't do that.
That whole concept that you're talking about right there is part of the bigger discussion that we're going to have here in a bit. I mean, there's a lot of that going on right now. There's a lot of that.
I know we'll talk about that more. I was just curious what your guys' opinion of Reposition specifically was.
Yeah. My opinion is I'm going to put Reposition in my Texas slots, and I'm going to put herbs in my extracts. It is an extract, right? Or is it blue?
It's an extract.
Why am I thinking that?
You pick it up.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I get confused because it also has a place you bring it to. But yeah, I'm going to put both in there, and when the star aligns, then it'll be useful.
I would say play it now. It's not going to be around.
Yeah.
It won't be around. They're going to ban that. There's no way in fuck that's going to continue.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ban it or if they'll just add the wording that we know it needs. And it's just like Black Cat. They just need to add the wording we know it needs. It's not a complicated process.
I don't know. Well, I'm not talking about that card. I'm talking about the mission.
Yeah, herbs. Herbs could very well get banned.
I think herbs should be banned.
I could easily see that happening. Personally, I think Legacy Virus is more abusable, but herbs is right there at number 2. And both of them are worse than the only mission that actually got banned, Evacuation Continues.
Correct.
Like, that mission is nowhere near as bad as the 2 that are actively legal. I don't understand that at all. I feel like this is just they're waiting for the next update to make all these changes that they know need to happen. That's the only solace I can take.
There you go. Earlier you said, what do you think big news are they going to drop in Minipalooza? Like they dropped bigger news for the whole game last time. I wonder if it'll be a big mission redo, a big mission update.
Maybe. I think the biggest thing that they're waiting to announce is the card pack. I think it's going to be like, card pack will be available June 14th. Here's what's going to be in it. And they're just like, huge list of cards. And like, and it's going to cost this much money and you just buy everything. Anyway, moving on. Jeremy, did you play any games this last week?
I sure did.
Ooh, tell us about it.
Kind of been on a mission to play a lot. So we played the tournament that was local, and then I went to Aaron, one of our locals' houses, and played I think 4 or 5 games, and then went out of town and played in the Vegas Open qualifier. So I think I've played 4, 8, 10, I don't know, maybe 15 games in the last couple of weeks. Just trying to hone in on what I like. And so I've been playing it was Wakanda and Thanos build with L models that can move and stuff. And then I changed it a little bit, and I changed it because I really like X-23 with Honey Badger. I like the way they work together and the things they do. So I switched it up. It's Wakanda and X-Men build with a Thanos drop. And funny enough, the very first game that I played in the qualifier was a Thanos build with Wakanda. We played almost the same cards. And I played X-Men version, and he played the Wakanda version. we crashed into each other, and I'll give you a really quick rundown of my games, and then you can ask or whatever. We'll kind of
Sure.
go wherever with it. So the first game I played was local to the area, and as soon as I got lined up with him, his name was Spencer. A lot of people were quick to say, "Ooh, he's real good." Oh my gosh, he's real. He's just one of those guys. He plays a lot, and everyone thought highly of him. So I'm like, cool, whatever. It'll be a good game. I ain't afraid of nobody. Good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So we line up.
I mean, he's got to play Parker on a regular basis.
I'm not doing that. I'm not playing Parker on a regular basis. So we line up.
Anymore.
We are on what could be called the most egregious table ever built in wargame history.
I forgot you told me about this. Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
No, I didn't see this.
So
what is this?
it was an alien world that had giant structures on it, size 5s, size 4s, size 3s, and little globule things everywhere. And it was covered in like these teeth, and it was all shiny. And from a distance, it looks like a cool table.
Mhm.
Ask yourself, though, with a table that is, 3 foot across, 2.5 feet of it was clogged up by these size 4s and 3s, which you could not put a model on.
So, are you saying that it's more terrain than we had on the spaceport table?
Probably
There was
the
a lot of
same,
terrain on there.
but different.
Probably the same, but it was terrain you couldn't move.
You couldn't be on. You couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it was all
with it.
stuff you couldn't stand on.
And there was also they were doing some special rules there where they had like size 2 that could not be manipulated. You couldn't throw it, couldn't do anything.
Non-interactive.
Yeah, non-interactable, which is interesting. I like that idea. That was kind of cool. But me and my opponent looked at the table and we're like, I was like, Judge, come over. So we pulled about 5 pieces of terrain off the table and made it a playable thing. And we both looked at it and we were like, you cool? I'm cool. We're good. We set the table up and played on it. It was okay. Again, there was a giant size 5 where we were like, I don't know what to do with this. There was areas that you could go in it. I don't know if you if we went in it and pulled a lever, then we could like sacrifice a model and gain power to all our guys. Like it was one of those kind of environments.
Yeah.
Like was there special effects? So anyway, we played the game. Turn 3 happened, and it was his turn. He dazed 3 of my models all at once, and it was just like a Wakanda. Like I'm like, how did that happen? It just a bunch of my models got dazed. I couldn't do anything about it. He took over the game, and I couldn't recover, and he got me. So I lost that one. Went into the 1-0 bracket. The next opponent I played, let me.
You mean the 0-1 bracket?
The 0-1 bracket, yeah. So I lost. Let me pull up this guy's name. I have everybody's name.
It's also known as the losers bracket.
Mm-hmm.
You're a loser.
I'm just trying to help. I didn't know if you needed assistance in explaining.
Listen,
how
I'm
that
not.
You were a winless player at this point in the tournament.
Yes, I was an 0 wins in the second round. His name was Sherrick. So the first game we played, just so we're clear, it was Spider Affected and Superpower Scoundrels. So there was shitloads of points. Shitloads.
Yeah.
So we were running around.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of points on that game. And it was kind of funny because I could tell, like, his first moves, and this goes back to the game I lost, his first moves, he was being clever, and I thought it was, like, kind of cute. It was one of those where I was like, oh, goodness. He runs over and grabs mine, right? Mm-hmm. And I was kind of like, that's funny. So I killed his models and took them back, Mm-hmm. And it was one of those where I was like, your move. So turn 2 happened and whatever. But it was pretty funny because there were so many points. So I played Sherrick in the next game. It was Struggle for the Cube and Demons. And he was playing A-Force. So, of course, it was A-Force drops into Demons. I'm like, ugh. I ended up playing X-Men again. And I put MODOK in there. We played 17 points. And MODOK just handled She-Hulk. That's pretty much all that happened. Between MODOK, X-23, I murdered She-Hulk and kind of took over the board on him. I won that game. The next game was against Landon. So this one, this game, it was Legacy Virus and Deadly Meteors. And I look over, and we're kind of talking for a minute, and I was like, it looks like you got a couple Hulks there. He was playing She-Hulk and Hulk. So the one thing I can tell you is if anybody has Hulk and She-Hulk in a list, they're playing them on you. So I knew that. He picked 19 Threat. I'm like, yeah, it's happening. So I took the nuclear option. I pulled Thanos out, and turn after turn, he didn't do anything. And I felt bad about it, but there was really, I couldn't do anything else. Like, it was 2 Hulks. Ended up winning that game. He just couldn't do anything about Thanos. He just had all his points wrapped around 2 models that I just kept walking like a dog off the table. And it was really, really, like, he hadn't experienced it before, so it just wasn't great for him. I won that game. The next game, all right, so this game here, never in Marvel Crisis has this happened to me. We've talked about it a bunch. What happens if? So I'm playing Brent. Brent has been playing War Machine for 100 years. You run into him everywhere. He's just one of those guys.
He travels a lot.
He travels.
For games, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played against him a few times, so this isn't anything new, but we drew everything up, and we pulled herbs, and what was it? It was a B deployment where you roll for physical. It was whatever. It didn't matter. So
it's Mutant Madman.
Mutant Madman. So it didn't matter, actually. So
yeah, it's irrelevant because herbs is worth more points.
It was herbs. As soon as herbs dropped at 15 points, he has Convocation, and he took Juggernaut, Convocation, and Advance R&D. For those that haven't put the math together yet, this is a first turn Juggernaut score on herbs. First turn. Because of the way it works and how the math works out.
Do you remember, real quick, the specific characters he brought?
I believe it was Wong was one of them.
Okay. That's what so it's probably Wong, Juggernaut, Strange, Clea?
It was Clea.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
It was everybody who had a teleport action.
Yeah, the turn 1 play is Wong double meditates, advanced R&Ds, gives all 3 of the other people 1 power. Yep. So Strange can teleport, Clea can do whatever, and then Juggernaut has enough power to pick up the token and push himself afterwards.
There it is. I was like, where's the math in there? Now I get it.
Yeah, it all worked out in this synergy, which was basically an unlocked puzzle. I thought, and I still haven't laid it out yet, and again, I really don't care at this point. It's stupid that it...
So the specific problem, I know do you want me to talk about
Go
it?
ahead, it's fine. We've talked about it before. It just happened to me.
So in the game I played, I'm recalling now that there was some training the way that messed with my movement. And so every time I've tried this, there's never been a clear path for Juggernaut to land. And so if you contest you basically stand in front of the herb with a model, it wasn't possible to get Juggernaut on the herb after 2 moves. Now, I believe it is possible, if it's a small base model, to probably land him somewhere that prevents him from easily landing and picking up the herb. But I haven't pre-measured it, and also it depends on exactly where you put him, if there's any terrain in the way. There's a lot of contributing factors. But basically, Jeremy uses Black Panther to try and block Juggernaut's landing space to pick up the herb.
Oh, so you actually attempted to do it. You actually saw it.
Yeah, because
I knew what
Juggernaut
to do.
Can't go first. Juggernaut cannot go first, even if you have priority. Wong has to go first, and Advanced R&D the power to Juggernaut. And so you cannot do this as a top of 1 play. So Jeremy guaranteed got a turn. And it might have been the right call to... do you remember who had priority? Did he have priority?
No, I had priority.
You chose 15?
No, I had priority. He chose 15.
Okay. So it might have been worth it, knowing that your opponent's in an all-in situation, to use 2 models to block off the objective, which is definitely possible.
Yeah, that was possible. I just didn't know I needed to.
Yeah, in hindsight, a way to avoid this situation, obviously pre-measure it all out, see what's possible, what's not possible physically. Then probably use 2 models just to be safe. The problem that they ran into is Juggernaut comes in to try and pick up the objective, thinking that Juggernaut can get around Black Panther and has a landing space. Jeremy's under the impression that he doesn't have a landing space, and in the measuring mess, a model gets bumped. Now you have an unclean game state, and it's impossible to know if the model actually could have gotten there. Then there was a bunch of discussion that happened, and it ended up with Juggernaut being able to pick up the token. So that's just a shitty situation to be in. Personally, in that situation, if my opponent is trying to measure something, and it's very crucial and close, and they bump a model, you're out. That's the way we've always played it in War Machine, if you're the one that caused the messed up game state, it's your fault. Therefore, you lose your measurement effectively, unless it was obvious you were already in. So that being what it is, I think Brent probably didn't think it was impossible, or else he probably wouldn't have been trying it. So yeah, it's just a bad situation. In the future, I mean, that's really just why we need pre-measuring. Like, they would have cleaned that whole situation up.
Mm-hmm.
You could just put down a proxy base and said, hey, I can double move here. I'm going to go pick it up. There would have been almost no risk of actually moving Black Panther's model, because you can easily dial it in. But yeah, it's sucky.
So that's one way to stop it. You put 2 models there. One of the big problems, there's several things with this list and combination that is like 3 levels of hell. Convocation's leadership. So Juggernaut comes over. What can you do? You kill Juggernaut, right? You try and do your best to do that. Juggernaut just moves. Juggernaut moves.
You hit him, he moves.
He moves.
Yeah, that's a convocation leadership.
Anyone who has a bow, you can't bow Juggernaut. The only other model left...
You can't even webline Juggernaut.
No, the only other model left is Thanos. So I had a couple options. There was a couple things I could do. But here's the thing. This is my bottom line with that game. That isn't a game I want to play. Like, why am I having to puzzle out some bullshit like this? We knew it's possible. Who cares? Who gives a shit? And I told Brent at the end of the game, I was like, congratulations, what did you do? Like, I don't know what the point of that was, aside from... And he goes, I agree. It's stupid. I'm like, oh, dude. You know, like... And I told him, and we kind of talked about it. I'm like, I wish we could have done something different and played a game. Like, I'm here to play a game. That wasn't a game. That was something entirely different. And that's why I'm very hardcore on just get rid of that stupid herb. Ever since it's been out, people have been trying to break it. It's fucking dumb. Like, take it away.
That mission definitely needs to go away. Or it needs to be... They just need to add the wording like this model can't be placed or something. Like, they need to add one more rule to it so that will stop it from being abused. Because there's too many things in the game now that move models.
Yeah.
There's too many things.
There's too many things.
Because even if you were able to block the landing spot, let's say you had a large base model and you could definitely block the landing spot for Juggernaut, then he could have just used Clea to place him forward after you did it.
Yep.
It wouldn't have mattered.
Didn't matter.
And so it's really dumb.
Also, once he got it there, or like once he was able to arrive on location to pick it up, I was done. There's really...
the game is instantly over unless you can kill Juggernaut in like 4 attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Which on the first turn is basically impossible.
I had one of the best models for it. Like, I had MODOK, and I did nothing. I mean, I just rolled normal. Yeah. You know, like, okay, take 2.
Juggernaut's specifically strong against it, which is extra stupid.
Sure.
So yeah, the situation you're in is Juggernaut has the objective token and has pushed himself away from you, almost directly away from you, short, which ends up being about a 6-inch move on a large base.
Yeah.
So he's about 6 inches away from your herb, which you have to move just to stand next to. So you're moving to have to attack. All of your range 2 attacks can't hit him because he's too far away. So you can only hit him with range attacks, and you're probably moving to even make a single range attack. When the first one hits him, he moves again, right?
Yes.
I don't know how to turn over... Oh, I see. The other bar with no doors. The character suffers damage from an enemy attack. This effect's resolved. You may place within one of his current positions once per turn. Yeah. So there's no restriction on it when it happens or anything. It's just place within 1, which is another 4-inch move.
It's crazy.
And so he's 10 inches from your objective if you do any damage to him. And now he can reduce damage again because he's got power from taking damage. Then Strange places him range 3 and he's basically on the point. It's like, okay, now what? What was the point of this?
Yeah, so we went ahead and continued playing, but it was over. The other thing to consider is even if you get Juggernaut off the point or whatever, you do something. Strange has a 3 place. Like, that is monstrous. It's so far. He has the power to do it. Like,
so does Magic with her tactics card.
Yeah, it just puts it back. So, again, it was dumb. What was the point of the game? I don't know. Aside from him, it was cute. Congrats. And I mean, he even admitted to it. Like, it's fine. Whatever. It is what it is. So
this is why we've never really respected these kind of like Rube Goldberg scenario wins. It's like, okay, but what did you get? Like, you're in the losers bracket. What did it get you? It literally got you nothing.
Yep.
You got a shitty game that nobody had fun playing.
Yep.
And so it only matters if you can do it every fucking time.
Yeah.
And none of them work every fucking time. This one only
Right.
works 1 in 6 times because you have to be choosing scenarios because your opponent's not going to be running herbs unless they have a similar build to you. And then you have a 1 in 3 chance of flipping it when you get priority.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it makes no fucking sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't cool.
It's like, yeah, you'll win 1/6 of your games with this trick. That's not enough. That doesn't do anything. It just annoys everyone that you play.
Yeah. So after that, there was one more round. I decided to drop because Aaron had made it to the finals table. I wanted to check that out. We had been talking about his list for the last 2 weeks, and I beat my head against it at his house a bunch. And we talked about it on the way down and added a Winter Soldier in there because we had talked about how to go 7 wide at 20. And I was like, put Bucky in there, you know. It was
Bucky's
really
good.
cool. He ended up playing against... it was 20 points. He ended up using Bucky, so I was like, yeah, I got to watch this go down, you know.
Wait, is he going 8 wide at 20?
7. It was 7
Okay.
wide. And
what did he take out for Bucky? Did he drop Hood?
I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
No, he had Hood in there. It was Kingpin, Hood, Black Cat, the 2-2-pointers, Bullseye, Avengers chick. What else is in there? It was 20 points. He had 7 wide. It was a lot.
Ant-Man was probably his last.
No, Ant-Man wasn't in there.
He wasn't in. Okay.
Mm-mm.
It's another 3-pointer then.
Yeah, Hood, Bucky.
Bullseye, Black Widow, Black Cat, Hood, Kingpin, Bucky. Who's his other popular 3-pointer he likes? I thought it was Ant-Man because he's so fast.
Usually it was Ant-Man, but it wasn't this time. I didn't see Ant-Man.
He's not running Quicksilver.
It was
Shit. Oh well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Whatever. So he was playing this, like, he ended up getting Scoundrels. So it was basically over from go. His opponent was a real good guy. People, were talking big about him as well. I can't remember his name. There was a lot of folks there that were from other podcasts.
I do not know how you beat that list on Scoundrels. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, whenever I saw that post, it was like, Aaron's playing 20 points on Scoundrels. I literally went, well, way to go, Aaron.
Good job, Aaron.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I immediately went, well, way to go. He won a tournament. I couldn't even imagine a world in which he lost. I'm sure.
And it was very sad. The last few turns, you could really see the light in his opponent's eyes going out, like, because of just what was happening.
Going like I'm down 11 on turn 3. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't know how bad the score was.
It wasn't.
Man,
that,
it just feels.
But it was one of those where there was just too many bodies. Like, every way you'd slice it, there was just too many bodies that were just scoring every time. It was you'd move something to do something, and then another guy would walk on the point. Throw a guy off, push a guy off, another guy would walk on the point. Like, you've seen it. I mean, it's really nasty. Nobody's done it that I've seen.
Like, people are freaking out over the herb situation, and like, dude, I'm telling you, criminals are 3 times as bad as herbs.
Well, herbs is a gimmick. Like, this criminal
herbs
shit
is a gimmick. Criminals work.
Criminals just do it.
Yeah.
Especially, and so the one thing I saw a lot of at this tournament was there are a lot of Scoundrels. People think it's fun. There's a lot of that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, a lot of that.
No.
Very little criminals. I think he was the only criminal player there.
I think he was, yeah.
There might have been 1 or 2, but I didn't see them. Voodoos. Nobody was playing Voodoo. Everyone was playing Black Cat, and everyone was playing Thanos. That's pretty much everything else was smattering.
Well, Voodoo is less good with Thanos in the meta, but he's still really good.
But that's basically what it was. I mean, and nobody was playing like I was, because I was defending against criminals. I was playing all of the pay to flip. Because I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah, I get that. So can you give us any kind of like play-by-play for Aaron's last game? Like, is there any important points, or was it just...
Yeah, he had one moment that was really cool. So he played... It was like Black Cat went up and staggered both... What was it? Hulkbuster got staggered by a late game. It was late game too. It was terrible. Staggered Hulkbuster and also staggered another model that was right there. Oh, so the key to this, the thing that set it up was, and I even said it out loud, and everyone kind of chuckled about it. There was a Hulkbuster and 5 points worth of models. So there was 11 points, and Aaron had a 2-point model and a 3-point model on the point. So there's 11 points versus 5, just so he didn't auto score it. And I was like, that's a good 11 points used. I'm like, oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, I mean, that right there is what is egregious about this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Aaron's effectively playing 40 points worth of spam models.
Yep.
And his opponent isn't.
Yep.
Like there's no, what's the counter? Like, you just watch your opponent score points.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of that. But that was the worst, when he had 11 points and Aaron had 5 on 1 point. It was like, oh my God.
It's like watching someone play chess when they don't know what they're doing versus somebody who's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, when is he going to take a piece? And you're like, he's not. Like, he's just like outmatched. Like, cause his pieces are so much more efficient than the other guy's pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every move he's doing has multiple functions, not just the obvious function.
I don't know if it's efficiency. I think it's value, right?
Right. It's not a clean comparison.
Yeah. What Jeremy said there was the value statement, which is literally this piece of plastic is worth more than your piece of plastic because it has 2. It's functionally 2 as long as it's healthy, and that kind of value is insane. And you just drive up the value by doing what Aaron's doing, which is play the lowest point cost for that value.
Yeah.
There's no way it's not
Was
good.
he running Gwen, Jeremy?
No, it wasn't.
God, I keep trying to tell him to take Gwen.
Oh yeah, it would be way better.
God,
I don't know.
Because he would gain board control and defense and speed.
Yeah. God, yeah, I don't know. I do know that the guy he was playing, I believe the guy's name was Bob, and he was playing Storm. It was an X-Men list with Storm, and it had a Hulkbuster drop in. It basically was like the guy who was supposed to fix things, I get it. Push some models. Do that.
I like Hulkbuster, but it doesn't work against criminals.
It doesn't.
You don't
do
have
enough.
enough.
The only reason to take him versus criminals if you know they're playing Juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Hulkbuster is good versus Juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh God. So Aaron apparently, he comes up to us somewhere in the middle of gaming, and it was like his 2nd or 3rd game, and he was like, "Dude, I just won like 18-2." I was like, "What?" And I'm like,
"Yeah." He
goes, "With Daredevil." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
That was craziness. Just
with
Daredevil.
I bet you he has Craven in there.
No, it's not Craven.
Not Craven?
No.
Who's the other 3-point combat? Is it Lizard?
Did he use Lizard? I don't think
it's
was
a
Lizard.
3-point. No, it's got to be a 3-point criminal because we were talking about he wanted to do the fighty build.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm gonna have to actually look at models now. You're kind of.
All right, I'll just look up criminals. Hold on.
But yeah, he was like
Hoodson, Craven, Mysterio, Black Hat, Taskmaster, Bullseye, Elektra. No, none of these sound good.
No. Like I say, he's using Bucky to hit affiliation.
Yeah. Gambit, Mordo, Clea, Zemo?
No.
Oh, damn it. Oh well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, congrats to Aaron. It sounded like you had a good time. Jeremy, I hope you had a good time also.
I had a great time. Like, it was cool to see a lot of people. There was tons of folks that we used to see at tournaments. Like I say, I saw Brent. I saw Josh. A few others.
Josh?
What is his last name? Josh Russell?
Ah.
I can't remember the guy's name. He's up there. He's a local guy. I think he goes by Clutch. I think he's a bigger guy.
That is Brandon Morris.
Oh yeah, he's a cool guy. He posts
friend
on our
of the
forums
show,
and stuff.
Brandon Morris.
Yeah, he's a good guy. We talked for quite a bit about kind of the meta and kind of what was happening.
Hi, Brandon.
Heyo. and whoever else I'm forgetting. Anyway, I had a bunch of good games, bunch of good guys. Some guys from Joplin were up there. I talked to them.
Mhm.
What felt really good is the game I lost was a solid game, and I saw what happened, and that's okay. The games I won, I felt like I had that. The game I lost against Brent was its own animal. But I feel like our meta competes or does just as good or better than anyone else. That's good. I feel good about that. There wasn't anything shocking aside from first turn Juggernaut.
Yeah, I think this is a game where you're not really going to have that feeling that you're never in games really as much as like War Machine. War Machine, like, to get a good game, you had to be really close to where the other person's experience level was. And this game doesn't really have that feeling for me. It feels like as long as you're paying attention and you're open to like exploring the meta, I feel like everyone has kind of like a chip in a chair, which isn't really the case in a lot of other games, because the game has so many like comeback mechanics built into it that if you're always looking for an opening and you have creative problem solving, you got a chance.
I think that's so true, especially when the objectives are all in the middle, because then people get to do what they want, which is punch you in the head and also get points. It's when it gets real wide on you where people can lose and not know they're losing. The games where they play those middle scenarios and they just love to hit you in the face, you're just like, please stop hitting me in the face.
Yeah, I feel like it should just not be allowed to score more than 4 or 5 points a turn. Like, that's just too many. I've seen turns where people score like 8, and I'm like, no, like that's not okay. That's not an amount of points that is okay to score. Like, I was playing in the tournament last week. I played Aaron's kid, Perrin.
Yep.
And it was like 10-8, and it was like, okay, I move She-Hulk here, end her turn. I was like, I pass. He's like, you can't pass. Like, no, like, I'm activating Black Cat. She's just gonna stand here and do nothing. I end my turn. He's like, oh, okay. I was like, I scored a 16. He's like, what? Like, he had to look at the table. It's like, Jesus, we got there so quick. Well, it's like, yeah, it's like turn 3.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like you don't get to play a full game because so often the advantage scenario factions will just get a 3 or 4 point lead on turn 1, and people don't recognize how big of a lead that is because it doesn't sound like a big lead. They say, like, I'll just make up for that next turn. Well, then you can't. That's not how the game works because you're not any better at scoring points than I am. So the only way you're going to get to score more is if you fucking kill everybody. And that never happens. Like, you have to get so exceedingly lucky to, like, down 4 people in a turn when you're not set up with power and stuff because they're not attacking you. They're not giving you power. You're walking in with 1 or 2 power on turn 2 and you're probably not in position to do your good attacks. And so it's just like, like maybe you'll daze 1 or 2 people and then we'll score about the same amount. And I'm still 3 or 4 points up and now it's too late because I only have to score 1 or 2 next turn to like close it out.
Yeah, it's a big one. Like, people like need to realize if you get down more than 2 on turn 1, that's rough. Like, that is really
there
rough.
needs to be a reason. Like, I failed all my rolls to flip these objectives. Like, that needs to be the reason.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, so anyway, that's the games and traveling and all the things that I've got.
Cool. All right, well, let's transition into our next topic, which is going to be for today. Is there a meta? We want to talk about now that live events are coming back and people are starting to travel again for tournaments. Are we seeing anything showing as what the meta might be or where it's going? So, for example, I went to Adepticon a few weeks ago, and it seemed to me that everyone was playing Black Cat. Nearly everyone was playing Baron or Doc Voodoo, and a lot of people were also playing Thanos. And almost everyone was playing the usual suspects for like tactics cards like Indomitable, Medpack, Brace, stuff like that. And so it felt like we had a good handhold on where the meta was kind of going. Jeremy, did you notice like a high population count of any specific affiliation?
I mean, I ran into A-Force twice. I saw a lot of X-Men, and I saw a bunch of Wakanda. Aside from that, I really didn't see anything else. There was kind of a splash here and there. But there's a lot of X-Men right now, a lot of good models for X-Men. What was weird is I didn't really see a bunch of Brotherhood. I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
There was a good amount of Brotherhood at Adepticon, but there's also just so many people that's kind of to be expected because they're really like aesthetically popular as opposed to like functionality popular. And I think A-Force and Brotherhood are going to kind of settle into that we're the boogeyman of your opponent thinking he can fight you, because they both just shithouse people that want to fight in the middle. And so if people want to try and do that, then that's going to just directly affect the ability for Brotherhood and A-Force to play. I think X-Men is a great affiliation right now. They have a lot of ways to play, multiple ways.
They really do.
Wakanda is very similar in that manner. The only problem Wakanda has is they're just low on affiliated models, which I think is probably going to remedy itself when the new movie comes out.
I'm so excited for a couple new models for Wakanda. Like, that's really going to blow up. They're going to be so good.
That would.
I mean, they're already so good. Like, who's kidding ourselves? But
what I ended up seeing was there's a good smattering of like Avengers just kind of being plug and played with all kinds of other stuff. Like, there's a few people running all Avengers at Adepticon. There was a few people playing like Sam hybrid with like a lot of cheap guys.
Yeah.
There was like a few people playing only Steve stuff. With like a bit smattering of other crap, and there's a lot of just Avengers being used out of affiliation. Avengers were more popular than I had expected, but that might be just a bias that I have from our community because everyone starts at Avengers and branches out and rarely goes back. Very rarely will people go back to Avengers after they leave them.
Did you guys see Convocation anywhere? I was just curious.
Yes. I saw Convocation decently show up at Adepticon. Brent was one of the people playing them that I specifically saw. I felt that Midnight Suns were more popular, but they were not more popular by a reasonable margin. But I kind of lumped them all together. I just say the Wizard factions, and they're like those guys over there. I think Midnight Suns is more popular than Convocation based on what I have seen. Jeremy, do you have an opinion?
Convocation, I mean, let's be honest, like, it's not an easy faction to get or affiliation to get into. It's complicated, right? Like, it's a mess. It's very messy. But Midnight Suns is very easy. Like, their ability is very simple. They have a couple simple tactics cards. Their ability is very simple and powerful. Go for it. So, like, I think generally, like, you're going to see more of the Midnight Suns than Convocation, but Convocation's a big brain affiliation. Like, you really got to, like, I always feel like if I'm about to play a Convocation player, they know what's going on, and I don't. You know, like, oh my God, they've got a plan for this.
They're getting in on the secret meetings, and they're not telling you.
Yeah, exactly. But I really didn't see much of that at the event I was at. What it sounds like to me, Adepticon was very like tabletop simulator style. It seems like a lot of those lists were kind of like that. Whereas,
well, to be fair, it was a big event. There was a lot of like long distance travelers, and I think a lot of those people tend to play TTS. So I think that's a fair observation.
What do you mean by that? What do you see with that,
Jeremy?
So what I'll say is
more TTS than I know.
So the things that you were saying that you saw at Adepticon match what people the stories and the boogeymen and all of the models that we say are really good. Whereas the event I went to, I saw the card smash like 4 different times. Like, I'm like, what is people doing with this? So it was actually just what people are doing, different things.
Yeah. It was just like a local meta. They see like one guy who's excelling playing Smash, and they go, "Oh, this card must be good."
Yeah.
Then they play Smash, like, "Yeah, it is good," and they get like the confirmation bias. But it's like, but other metas just don't start using it. They'll probably never notice that. It's like Mark for Death. I'm sure there's a meta somewhere around here where every person has Mark for Death in their 10, and we just never see it. And so it's just one of those things. As where on TTS, I think it gets into a lot of groupthink. And so you have the bias of what people think is good, like on a national level, getting played a lot. Which is why you see so much like Voodoo and so much Thanos and so much Black Cat for those reasons. Is because they're perceived to be strong, so they're going to get played in high volumes. Because also, when you play on something like TTS, you disassociate from the physical reality of the game. which is like, well, I love Magneto, and so I've painted my Magneto to a higher standard than the rest of my models.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done the same for like Juggernaut and Scarlet Witch and stuff like that. So when I'm going to play, I'm generally going to lean towards using those models that I love and spent time on, as where in TTS, they're just like, imaginary game pieces
They're
and
pogs.
stack cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pogs. Like, it doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter your connection to the physical object anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's no longer a physical game. It's now a digital game.
One thing that was cool, and this is a little off topic, but we're talking about cons here. Like Adepticon, everybody's models were painted at this qualifier thing too, which was really cool. That's really cool to have everybody with painted stuff. Like, I can't tell you.
Did they require painted, or
No.
just a random?
No,
Okay.
just everybody's was painted. It's just people like to paint their stuff.
Well, a lot of those people, Chicago's only, 5 hours from Springfield?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's that. So what, moving past models, I think everything was the same assortment of, everyone had the same restricted cards and the same, everybody was playing Indomitable, like it just was. Everybody played Indomitable. They were playing basically everything that we were playing. Same differences. Like,
Yeah.
You
didn't see any big curveballs, really?
No. Like, I think the curveballs come, like, when I was looking at Aaron's tactic cards, like, he was a tactical analysis and just runs trains on people with it. I'm like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, there wasn't.
Because criminals don't need any tactics cards because they're not being aggressive.
No, they
don't.
So
they just play different. Yeah,
ridiculous.
All this other stuff becomes viable again.
No, it all was basically the same stuff. So can we talk about mission cards?
Do you want to talk about mission cards?
I actually wanted to ask one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we've
actually one more question. At the end of Adepticon, maybe this is more speaking to your earlier observation of TTS versus like local meta. But at the end of Adepticon, one of the things you mentioned was, in our local meta, we have kind of myopically focused on the attrition list and trying to find ways to kill your opponent better. And so usually we're impressed by that. As soon as we see, a model that can kill our opponents better, we go, oh, this is impressive. I'm going to try this to kill my opponent better. But something you saw, Brandon, was people were looking at, okay, this card has nothing to do with killing my opponent. It just gives me a slight advantage on scenario. So I'm playing this tactics card or this character. Is that what we still should be leaning towards if we're planning on doing wider tournaments? Or I guess
I think if you're looking to excel at large events, I think you should be focusing more so on scenario, because for several reasons. One of which being that it has less random chance associated with it. For example, like criminals and web warriors are very dice consistent factions because what they do does not rely on dice. And in this terms of web warriors, they actually gain additional dice to prevent your opponent from getting lucky.
Okay. So I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
But I was going to say, then how does that advice square with Jeremy's experience here at this latest tournament, which was his opponent was playing something that was really good. As soon as you get the 1/6 chance or whatever, it pops up. Okay, I auto win, or I have an extreme chance to win. I thought of the word. I have a degenerate. Remember that the video game word?
Degenerate.
I was thinking, degenerate. I have a degenerate strategy that is automatically more effective at winning scenarios than my opponent will likely be automatically effective at winning the scenario.
So in this specific situation,
does a degenerate strategy fit into that game plan, or is it still something?
So I'm trying to say it. So if the situation where Brent is in, he is doing this because he likes to abuse things. Like, that's just his nature. When he plays a game, he wants to play the best stuff. He wants to use it in the best way possible. That's just kind of like the way he looks at stuff, which is fine. And so, looking at the resources it costs him to play this mission are not high. They're very low in reference to what he was already playing.
Right.
Now, adding the one tactics card and maybe one model to his list to give him this incredible advantage on one specific scenario is worth it in his mind. And I don't know that he's wrong, but the list he's playing, Convocation, is not bad at scenario play. In fact, it's very good at scenario play anyway. So what he's basically doing, I'm sure in his mind, is saying that, well, even if I get paired against another really good scenario list. I have an out if I can pull this mission. And a lot of people that think they're good at scenario will end up putting in herbs because they think they can abuse it also. And he's just playing the arms race of, well, I'll just be better than him at it. And Convocation is probably the best affiliation for abusing Wakandan herbs. You could argue Brotherhood's just as good. It's pretty close. Kind of depends on how far you're willing to invest.
Do you think Shield's going to be in that conversation as well because of?
Sure, I guess
reposition?
I forget that he's legal now because I haven't played a game since he's been legal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Reconnaissance is obviously dumb.
You mean reposition?
Reposition, sorry. Reposition is obviously dumb. Can you easily get the token? I haven't looked at the interactions.
I have not tried either. I know.
So how much power does Fury get?
1 a turn, just 1 a turn.
And he's got to spend 2 to play the card?
Yeah.
And he's got to pick up the token, so that's 3 power. Is there an obvious way to get him his 3rd power that I'm missing?
It's probably Wong.
Oh, right, because it's not a shield card, it's a Fury card.
Yeah.
So you can play him in Inhumans and just dump 2 power on it.
You could do that.
Or you could play him with Wong and Advanced R&D, and he could get 2 power.
Right.
Because Wong could double meditate, could donate a power and Advanced R&D, and then turn 2 Fury's going.
Mm-hmm. Wait, can you donate? Is donating a power an action? No, right?
No.
Healing's an action, right? Yeah.
Healing is an action. Removing his I'm pretty sure you can check if you want. I don't think it is. But yeah, so the Fury thing definitely works. But that's not an affiliation thing. That's just Fury. You could it would be way better if you just played Fury in Brotherhood, and now he can pick up the token for free. And now you only need to give him 1 power.
Right.
Similarly with Magneto, you can just destroy terrain and give him power. Also, you could just play Juggernaut in Brotherhood and not have to worry about the whole package of Fury and the Tactics card and everything.
Right.
And so there's a lot of different opportunities within the Brotherhood affiliation for this particular mission.
Yeah.
Have you looked at how bad it is? Like, take all of the other crap out of it. Just how nasty it is, the ability to have those grunts grab something, then you kill it, and then it places it. You place
backwards.
It. Do you
it's
know
only the shield grunts, but
that
yeah, it's
is
dumb.
jacked.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Because you just go get it again. You pick it up yourself.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's really stupid because you're like, last activation turn to activate Fury. He drops the guy that picks up the token, and then I end my turn. My opponent gets priority because I had 2 models left to activate at that point. They activate first, they kill the grunt, places backwards, activate Fury, places the grunt, they pick up the token, and you're like, because you're not even attacking useful models. Yeah, it seems very frustrating.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see it on the table.
Is the Senator is the one that you have to attack or take a damage, right?
No, that's Power Core.
Okay.
Kree Power Core.
Is it Kree Power Core? Curiously, if it is Kree Power Core, you can't try that trick because every time the guy picks it up, he can't attack, and so he auto dies. That's cute.
You can still pick it up and place it backwards.
That's true. You can't pick it up and just march it backwards.
That's the bad part.
Yeah.
Like
no, because if you drop the guy with Fury, they pick it up when it's not their activation, and so they don't take the damage.
Oh, that's right, because he can.
Which is actually even worse. So let's say I activate Fury's module. The grunt goes first, picks up the token, dies. Or picks up the token, moves, dies, places it within 2, drop the next guy within 1 on the backside. He then picks it up. You move the token like 10 inches. It's fucking dumb.
Oh, you're right. That is how it would work because he dies and Fury can then bring him back to life because it's, Never mind. Never mind.
And they and he's actually ends up being faster than a normal guy with the power core.
Yeah.
And you don't take damage. It's really stupid. While we're on this topic, let's talk about... Oh, no, I don't actually... I've changed my mind. I was going to do a quick from the forums. I don't even want to mess with it.
No,
I'm
don't
so
do that.
Annoyed with,
I'm
so annoyed
Don't
with
go
the
down
forums.
that hole.
Let me throw you a different one. Let me throw you
won't.
something I found that's really funny and I love. People have been referencing Thanos and what he does to models as kidnapping. That is my favorite thing I ever heard of.
Oh, yeah.
He kidnaps models.
I like that he calls it kidnap. Is that when he kills them and gains the victory point? Or
No.
when he moves
It's
them
just when you move
halfway
them,
across the fucking table.
When he moves them from your side to his side, you're kidnapped. You're dead.
Yeah,
that was pretty cute.
That is funny. Alrighty. So yeah, as Parker, did I answer your question? I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah.
I think I kept getting interrupted.
No.
The question about scenarios.
No, I think you did. I was just basically the idea is is there a space in trying to be competitive in the meta for degenerate play, or I guess what you intimated was it's kind of a personal choice. Are you interested in looking for the degenerate play and taking that kind of advantage, because you might not have to. For example, we've already intimated that Aaron, I don't think playing criminals in general is a degenerate play. It's just super value efficient, right? It's super value.
Yeah.
So that's
not degenerate yet.
Degenerate. Yeah.
So yeah, what I would say is that the degenerate way to play the game is actually the way Aaron is playing it right now. I don't think it's perceived as the degenerate way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what he is doing, if you want to win the highest quantity of games consistently at a high level, I think what Aaron is doing is at minimum top tier. I personally think it's the best single list in the game, and that was before Daredevil came out. And I'm not saying it's like so far clear of the field that there's like not a second place in sight or anything, but the numerical advantage you get is more important than any other advantage I've experienced in the game. Like Jeremy, for example, talking about not alien ship, Wakandan herbs, is like, I think that you still win that game with Aaron's list, because they get Juggernaut over there, and then at some point middle of the game, when you're trailing by like 4, Black Cat steals his herb and runs away, and the game ends because he'll never catch up again. Because at this point, you're scoring also. Because everything he did on his turn is to score his points and completely ignore what you're doing, which doesn't work against criminals, because all of a sudden, you're scoring 3 points a turn, running alongside him, slowly getting behind. Then you score your herb, he doesn't score his, because you activate last and seals objective, and now you have a 4-point advantage that he'll never get back. And that's the problem. As far as the meta goes, while we're talking about scenarios, the concerning thing for me is that what Jeremy said about people's secure missions. I'm really worried that people are just not respecting criminals because they don't get played. And that people are not going to play enough of the flip missions to keep criminals at bay. And so one of two things is going to happen. Well, I guess it's the same thing, really. Either criminals are going to get so popular because everyone's playing the normal secures that they're going to go fucking rampant gangbusters through the meta at one point because enough people start playing them. It's going to be like Crix in Mark II, and they're just going to overrun the entire meta. And so once that happens, everyone will switch to the pay-to-flip secures that you have to interact with, and then criminals will have a mass exodus, and we'll just keep tidal waving these two situations back and forth until like people finally learn that they cannot use the normal secures. They have to use the pay-to-flip secures, which are way more random and way less fun to play with, in my opinion.
I mean, they obviously aren't there yet, as I saw so many scoundrels being played. There's no reason to have that in your list if criminals are around. You cannot have that.
No.
Here's a weird metaposit. Okay, so we're assuming that 1,000 monkeys at the typewriter, people will eventually notice criminals, but because this game is, or has yet to be, a hyper competitive environment, right? I don't think it is yet. It's still people who like to play Marvel characters.
Yeah.
The criminals are not the super popular Marvel characters, right? Nobody's like, oh man, I really want to play.
Opposite would be true.
Yes, yeah. People, like you said, everybody starts with Avengers. There's no reason why everybody couldn't start with Cabal. You get Cabal models in the box set, but people don't start with Cabal. They start with Avengers because they're the cool good guys, right? They're the heroes of every story. They're the ones to get the screen time. I wonder if we will I wonder if the meta will never shift towards criminals by pure aesthetic alone. Maybe we'll get enough people start winning with criminals in a big way. It'll make a big splash on a couple big metas. It'll win maybe an LVO or the big qualifying. What is the name of the tournament they actually qualify for? What is it? Do we know what it's
The
called?
LVO Invitational.
Yeah, the Invitational. Maybe it'll be 5 criminals, in the LVO Invitational, and then everybody goes, wait a minute, maybe criminals are good. But I wonder if we get to the LVO in the actual Invitational tournament, and it'll just be, Black Order and Wakandans and Avengers and Web Warriors, and it'll just like exactly what we've seen so far. Super popular characters, the heroes of the game, and Black Order.
No, I think we're definitely getting to the point where people recognize that criminals are super overtuned. Well, it's not even overtuned. It's literally just Kingpin's leadership is fucking busted.
Right, that's what it is. Yeah. It's just that they have way too much value.
Yeah. I don't know how to fix it. I've been trying to come up with ideas, but my first thought was we'll just make it to where only one model per objective counts as 2 people.
Oh man.
I was like, that still wouldn't work because then you're just still like getting an extra guy per objective, which is still incredibly strong. And the more I thought about it, it's like it usually doesn't matter except for maybe 1. And even that 1 probably doesn't matter that often because if he's going to bother moving 2 people there, what are the odds there's 3 opponents there? Like, that doesn't seem useful.
Yeah. What if...
So then I was like,
ahead.
What if it only affects criminal models? So he still has the extract ability where he can pass the extract tokens around. But then what if only criminal models counted as 2? And I was like, yeah, that's still impossible to future-proof because it basically prevents them from ever making good criminal models, which they've clearly just shown with the last release isn't off the table. And so I was like, well, maybe you just get to pick 1. At the end of the round, before scoring, you choose 1 model that counts as 2. And then I thought about playing against that when I had to plan for the ability to work every turn on whatever point that he might pick. And I was like, you know what? That's so much worse than it currently is, and I still don't want to play against that. That sounds like a nightmare.
What about if they had to pay? Like, what if they paid a power? Each model had to pay an extra power to get that ability. And you could do it whenever, but it would cost you 1.
Like in the cleanup phase, you could spend a power per character to have them count as 2.
Yeah.
I don't think that would change the current game state, really.
I mean, they don't want to fight. If they're not actually doing anything, they're not going to be able to do anything.
But the only way to counter them is to daze them. So they are getting power. They're just, even so, like how many criminal characters that get played need their power? Kingpin, maybe. Black Cat for sure, but like end of list, like who cares? I don't see how that affects the game. It's not enough, at least in my opinion.
Or I don't know. Maybe I don't know. There's some there. It really isn't cool when you have a 14 character to 6 character game.
Yeah.
That's really wild.
Well, the other problem is most affiliations don't have an optimal wide build. So, like, I think X-Men can do it just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Avengers do it very well. Wakandan is okay at it at best. Just okay, because they don't really have enough affiliated characters to abuse it, and their abilities are actually better used on more expensive characters. Mm-hmm. Obviously not Black Order or Inhumans, or Spider Foes, or Brotherhood, really. Brotherhood can do okay at going wide, they're just not impressive at it. There's just a lot of affiliations that like don't want to do it. And so then you get lined up against criminals, and all they want to do is go wide. And there's only 2 affiliations that even come close to matching their numbers, like Guardians and Sam Avengers. It's like, okay, so there's 2 people that run as many guys as I do, but when they do that and we spread out wide, they can't really kill me fast enough unless they get incredibly lucky. Mm-hmm. Like Guardians have a shot, but like Sam Avengers don't really. Like I think you just lose because you can't kill him fast enough.
What if they just won ties?
That would be good.
Because then 2 models could actually take it instead of just draw. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, 1 model. Yeah, 2 models would take it. 1 model would lose. I don't hate that. I'd have to put some thought into it, but yeah, that seems good initially. That I would, if you told me that was the errata, I would immediately be optimistic and want to try it.
I mean, doesn't that seem so? Doesn't that feel so much better?
That seems much better than what it is. Yeah.
Mhm.
If they just won ties, it's still very powerful, very game impacting, very good.
I'd play it,
and way less oppressive. Yeah. Because really the problem is, because at that point, you are actually advantaged for putting two guys on a point, as well right now you're not.
No, it doesn't mean anything. It sucks.
Yeah, you might as well just not have those two guys there.
Oh yeah,
it takes 3 models.
Right, that's what I've started to do with criminals, which is a way to lose, right? But as soon as I see like
lose slower.
Yeah, but as soon as I see one criminal over there, okay, well I'm going to go ahead and go kill this thing because I'm not sending one guy over there to do anything. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the problem is if you send two people there.
Yeah, two. Sorry, I can't.
It just
send two
denies him. Yeah, it just denies them the point.
Right.
So that they're still outscoring you. Just by less.
Right.
But you're also not scoring because you have two guys committed to a point to get 0.
Right.
And so they're just you're making the game last longer, which is good because it gives you more time to try and negate their leadership through injuring their characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just isn't enough. And so putting two guys on a point means you're scoring and they're not scoring. Yes, I think I'm okay with that. Because then you can at least do a flank-like strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Where if there's 4 points, I'm just going to overload one side, and it's no longer I'll just put two guys on your point and your entire army is ineffective. Like, that's so fucking stupid. Like, it's really stupid. It's like, oh yeah, I've got 4 guys playing spider foes. You have like 15 points. You've got 7. That seems fine. Like, whatever. Like, just put your fucking guys. I guess he only has 6, but yeah, it's like, all right, I put all 4 of my guys on 1 point. I want to score as many as possible. Just two pointers run at you and contest your point. I'm like, what?
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah. Oh, it's so dumb. Yeah. And the problem is because the real problem of criminals is that because they have more guys than you, they get to make good decisions later in the turn once they have information about what has happened. Mm-hmm. And so it's the last 2 or 3 that really are just like the knife in the heart. It's like, okay, I'm going to move over here and throw your guy off the point. Yes, 2-point swing. And then they just like walk Black Widow over and completely negate your entire turn. And you're like, cool. This seems fair. And like I had to go through so much work. Like I had to walk over here with Thor, hit the wild on the throw to throw Kingpin off the point, who ends up taking 1 fucking damage because he's Kingpin. And then Black Widow just comes over and stands over. She's like, what's up, bro? High five. And you're like, great. Mm-hmm. I'm glad my models are useful and good.
They're just not as valuable. That's it.
Yeah, they're
less valuable.
Horrifically devalued.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the ratio. I think going to winning ties would be a much more fair ratio. I would like to see that tried. Sounds good.
So we figured it out. You heard it here.
Whoa, I'm not committing to say that would fix it. I'm just saying that would be
you
not
heard
busted.
It here.
Sign my name in ink.
I'm putting my foot down. Jeremy Constance solves your problem.
I did it.
Yeah. Jermiger Constagon fixed it.
Yep.
So what else should we talk about for the meta? So we've talked about we didn't see a lot of affiliation imbalance. We saw a lot of character imbalance, specifically Thanos and Black Cat at the most recent event. Massively overplayed compared to other models.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, I don't know why, but after the errata in October, I had just assumed in my head that Thanos got nerfed. And I just never actually realized that he didn't, because he just instantly vanished. And he has been so far out of my mind for the last like 5 to 6 months that I haven't even considered playing him. I was like, okay, thank God they fixed Black Order. It's gone. And I never really took a second to realize that he was still busted. Because they made the combination of Proxima and Corvus worse, but everything else about Black Order got better. Mm-hmm. The number of slots they take up in a roster is silly now. Just 3 character slots to play Black Order. Nothing else really. Maybe the Mothership Tactics card. That's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about 4 slots in 20 to add a second affiliation, which makes me wonder if we're seeing a lot of Black Order combined lists. just because you don't have enough space to run anything else. Because if you're running 6 characters for your main affiliation, you can't bring in anything else that you don't have already dual affiliated characters for. So Black Order ends up being a lot of those like second affiliation drop-ins because they also do something very different than what your main affiliation does. So yeah, I think the biggest outliers we're seeing right now, character-wise, is obviously Black Cat, Thanos, and probably Voodoo. Next up, tactics cards. We're obviously seeing a huge influx of Indomitable. It's literally in every single list.
I think it'll definitely be the next restricted card.
Yeah, I don't see how it's not going to be. They might as well just print it on like when they go to print roster sheets for you to write down stuff on, they should just put Indomitable on the list for you, save ink. Like,
it really makes Juggernaut's card. It makes me sad, but it makes me happy that there's a counter, which I kind of wish they both didn't exist. Like
you can kind of play around it by either just throwing terrain at them or by intentionally throwing people that don't have 2 power. Or
it happens. It does happen.
Yeah. The problem is getting them in a situation where they have less than 2 power to throw the character you really want to throw.
Yeah.
It also is a good way to force them to play it.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, man, I really want to like actually use Miles to throw somebody off a point, but I can't because they have Indomitable. So it's like you just like walk up, it's like, I'm gonna throw Black Dwarf into Proxima. It's like Indomitable. Like, good, I did it. Like, now that's gone. It's kind of like when I was saying we needed a tactics card that was prohibitively expensive, but used one of your opponent's tactics cards, like flipped it down so they couldn't use it. And so you could like, let's say it costs like 3 to play, and it was on an active card, and you would flip one of your opponent's tactics cards face down, and then they would flip one of yours face down. So I have to use the card that I'm playing, and then we each flip one of our cards. So you get to pick one of their cards you don't want them to play, and they get to pick one of yours. So you're losing 2 cards and have to play the card, and then they're only losing 1. I thought something like that would be cool, because if we ever get to the point where there's like a broken combo, we don't have to wait for the game to fix it. We can fix it as a community by just having that card available to us. And it would be prohibitively expensive so that you couldn't play it just because it's good all the time. Like, I don't want another Indomitable that's just in every list. This would be a very like Grievous Wounds, a very corner case card that's not going to make every list.
Yeah, again, I don't know. I like both of those things to be able to stop things, but I also like Juggernaut to be able to do his move. It's fun. I don't like my opponent taking shit that's fun away from me. I don't know. There's already plenty of that in the game. It's fun.
I think Indomitable is. I think Indomitable is fantastic. I love Indomitable. I think they will restrict it because it's being too ubiquitous. Anything that gets shown up that much, they go, okay, this must be tilted in some way. But I think
you mean degenerate.
No, it's not.
Degenerate.
I actually don't think it is degenerate. I think it is exactly. People play Indomitable because getting your shit pushed is like the number one way to feel bad man.
I disagree. I think the premier reason it's being played right now is to win on scenario as fast as possible. And when your opponent can't use control effects, you win pretty quickly.
But they can use control effects. They just can't use exactly one control effect.
It doesn't stop all control effects. It stops multiple control effects.
Once. Ever.
One time.
Right.
Yeah. But it turns out when that one time gets you like 3 points on Gamma, that's a lot.
Sure. So when you're playing on Gamba, it becomes more important. But that's a lot of tactics cards become more important in certain scenarios. In my experience, when I've played it, and I have played it a bunch, it usually just kept my guy in the fight, and it prevented someone like Black Panther, for example, from just removing my model from the game or making it trivial that he was even taken because Black Panther just boops him off with a backhand. So I think for me anyway, yes, Indomitable can get me a victory point here and there, and maybe that's why meta players are thinking about it in our conversations about meta. But I don't think Indomitable is a problem. I don't think it should be.
I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm just saying that I think it's too good to be unrestricted.
Okay.
There is no reason that you would never not have it in your 5, let alone in your 10.
I will 100% agree with you, because there is another card that's very similar that is restricted, and it's Brace for Impact. If Brace for Impact
Yeah.
is powerful enough to be restricted, then Indomitable should as well. Like, full stop.
Yeah, I think the problem we have, I know we've talked about this previously, but the problem we have right now is the restricted list is too short. We need it to be more like 10 cards, not 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so that there's actually decisions to be made, and you're not just saying the same fucking cards all the time.
Yeah.
Because it makes list building really unfun.
So if the meta right now, actually, so shifting a little bit from the tactics cards to the missions real fast, and because I don't know if I got this middle picture in my head, your opinion is that the meta should be shifting towards rolling scenarios to try to stop the auto win factions like criminals on those scenarios. But
yes,
state of the meta right now is not that. State of the meta right
Correct.
now is people are playing, 4 and 5 secure points on a board at once.
So and they're not doing the pay to roll ones. They're
Right.
doing the just stand next to contest ones.
So if we were to give advice to listeners, should we advise people to stare at criminals right now, or
Oh
should
no,
we...
100%. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Everyone should be playing the pay to flip blues and not be playing the exploitable reds. So you shouldn't be playing Deadly Legacy Virus, you shouldn't be playing Worthy, and you shouldn't be playing what is the other one? Herbs. And the reason I say that is not because I think that you're disadvantaged for playing them. I just think that those are all missions that are very character and list specifically abusable.
Mhm.
So Herbs, obviously we know that Juggernaut abuses it. There's also specific affiliations that do. If you are playing Herbs and you run up against somebody who's exploiting Herbs, there's now twice as likely of a chance that you're going to get playing that mission, and your opponent's going to beat you because he has a gotcha combo that you don't have.
He has a degenerate strategy. Yeah.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
So in this situation, what are you advantaging yourself about? Like, what's the point? Like, just like we talked about Jeremy's game, what is your goal here? To steal a win and not have fun? Like, if you think it's fun to gotcha people and play a game in which you got to make 0 decisions and your opponent got to make 0 decisions, you're wasting each other's time. Like, that's my opinion about the game. It's also removes fun from a game that is otherwise very fun. So what are you doing? Because the odds of you getting that to work on a game you absolutely have to win, like a tournament finals, is so unlikely that what the fuck are we doing here? Why waste our time? And so the Legacy Virus is kind of similar. It's just slightly less abusable, which means that basically it's characters like Thanos and maybe Magneto that can really break it. I think criminals have a shot with all the moving objectives around that they can do. And then finally, the Worthy is just a dice machine. I don't personally like it because it's just Yahtzee machine. At some point, you're going to start collecting multiple hammers on characters because of the way the game works. That's just how the mission works. Someone's going to get tokens, they're going to attack somebody else with a token, and they're going to die. And then you're going to pick up the token and put the second one on a character. Now it just turns into who's going to break the loot pinata first. And you're going to end up with 2, and your opponent's going to end up with 2. Whichever one of your hammer characters beats the other hammer character first ends up with 3 or 4 hammers, and then the game ends because that character kills everyone. Because the game's not balanced around like auto fire having like 7 fucking attack dice. Do you understand what I'm saying though? Right? Like, am I making sense here? So that's why I say don't play those 3. Worthy, if you really want to play Worthy, I get it. It's fine. That's the least bad of the 3 for sure. The Herbs and Deadly Legacy Virus, you should absolutely fucking not be playing. And then you should not be playing the regular scenario secures. You should be playing the ones that you have to roll dice on. Because those are the only ones that the criminals don't break. And so until criminals get fixed, you're doing a disservice to the community by playing the normal secures. Because you're allowing criminals to exist.
Correct.
Even if you're not playing against the criminals, you're allowing them to exist because you're playing the wrong secures. The game is not balanced for criminals to get to play on secures every round. So right now, I think actually the biggest opponent that the criminals are going to have to face is basically Ominous's X-Men list. because he's designed that list to play every scenario criminals don't want to play. I don't know if that's intentional. I don't listen to his podcast, but after looking at it, I'm quite confident that is exactly what he's trying to do, is basically beat lists that play like criminals. He's trying to force them to roll dice on the points, to repeatedly contest them on spread out scenarios, and X-Men have enough control and enough attrition to get it done, as long as they're playing on the pay-to-flip blues. Now, if he loses priority and the criminal player gets to pick blues, I think he's in a really bad spot, but we'll have to see how it goes.
That was my strategy after playing Aaron a bunch of times.
Just not lose priority.
No.
Is win priority and play not pay to flips?
Okay.
Correct on that, but I thought
Yeah.
X-Men actually have a game into it, as does Wakanda.
Yeah.
But having a game into it is different than being able to win it, handily.
Yeah.
Just because I could stall out or kill a couple models faster than it still doesn't do enough. Not if you don't get pay to flips. It's terrible.
Yeah. The game you have is I get to play long enough to try and dice you. That's basically the game I felt I had.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, as long as, Miles one-shots 2 people here, I got a game. That's all I could do.
Mm-hmm.
I had one game against Aaron where we were playing on a Extremis, I think it was. And it came down to I was able to tie and force a turn 4. And then I actually, that was the best I did 4 games in a row. I was just like, all right, I did it. I got to turn 4. And then it's like, all right, Kingpin activates, dazes Gwen, dazes Shuri with his 2 attacks. I'm like, well, this game's over. There's no point continuing.
Yep.
It's like, he's like, yep, the game's over. We're done. That was all that had to happen. He just got one good turn and dazed a couple people. And it's like, the game just ends. Because I can no longer contest anything.
It is. It's over at 3. It's so stupid.
Dude, and we tied at 17, too. It was dumb.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think... I got interrupted. So, the tactics cards for the meta are, I think, Climbing Gear, Indomitable, and then pick your 2 restricteds, because there's not enough of them. Did you guys notice any other tactics cards that are being played at a very high rate that are not restricted and aren't the other 2?
Advanced R&D.
You think Advanced R&D?
You're still seeing it?
I don't see it anymore.
Yeah,
I
don't see it anymore.
I have not seen it since the nerf.
I mean, the thing is playing in the store is different. That's attrition and killing stuff.
Yeah.
This game is
the most fun way to play the game.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Is just try and murder everybody.
The game is also still filled with plenty of first turn things that you can do.
Chicanery.
Yeah, I mean, you can set there's lots of stuff to do. The primary one I saw was setting up models that can charge, and that's good. Yeah. I mean, that's really good enough. It takes a chunk out of you before you're ready. It's pretty good. But that was really the only one I saw that I was kind of like, told you so.
I don't know. Just to me, that's not worth a tactics card. I just don't see it.
I know.
It's you're going to activate a model and move a power around with a tactics card. It's 5-die attack. I'm like, what? That was your plan? I just don't get it.
I don't know.
It's meanwhile, fucking Thanos is mothershipping into your deployment zone on turn 1. That seems like a tactics card.
Meanwhile,
one of these things seemed like it was worth more than the other one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So back to kind of what we were talking about a minute ago, Parker. It's not just Indomitable on its own. It's Indomitable plus tactical analysis plus climbing gear. With criminals, it's just you can't move their people. They just get them exactly where they were before, or don't move at all. And so that's why it's okay, well, I'm running out of control effects I can use before turn 3 because I just don't have enough power. And so you're so starved. So the first 3 just get ignored, and you're like, oh. So basically, I just don't get control effects. And so that's why it seems too strong. But it's more of a combination of all of it. Yeah, so moving on, Crisis cards, popular in the meta. Clearly, Sinister Syndicate is way too popular. It needs to not be fucking played ever again. Way too
popular.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to hold the lines, I really want to play Extremis or Infinity Formula or I don't know, spider infected. Pick one. Whatever. Cool. I get it. It's cool. You like your missions. Do not play Sinister Syndicate. It is the most broken mission in the game. Please don't play it.
You know what's really sad is when X-Men have Storm and everybody already has cover and they didn't pay a leadership for it. You're like, you son of a bitch. Like,
yeah. Remember we were like, that's fucking stupid, and then they just printed it on a card.
Yeah, you just get it for free. It's cool.
There's just like a nice little wheel. It's like the power triangle of like rock paper scissors of like who beats who. It's like A list beats B list, but B list beats C list, and C list beats A list, and you're like, cool, got it. Well, the flow chart for Sinister Syndicate is like criminals beat Sam Avengers. Sam Avengers beat everybody else, and everybody else loses to criminals, and you're like, wait, like this is like a spearhead, not a triangle. I don't understand. Like, it's just pointing in one direction. Anyway, so yeah, I'm very excited to get to a lot more events. I think we're gonna start having a lot of LVO qualifiers soon in our area, and all of our meta takes are generally on the Midwest. These are mostly from the Chicago, St. Louis, Springfield, Kansas City area, where we haven't really had a lot of exposure on the coast because, we're not going to drive 14 hours to experience your local meta. Mm-hmm. You should drive 14 hours to experience our local meta.
Speak for yourself.
Fun. We play Demons Downtown and play Brotherhood and A-Force. It's great.
I was like, speak for yourself. I am very in tune with the Guernsey meta. The Guernsey meta
is life.
On tap. It's the only thing I care about.
It's direct. We have a direct feed to Guernsey live games at all times.
By the way, Guernsey meta completely dominated by a Sin Cabal of all things. Sin Cabal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Sin Cabal Guernsey meta.
That's right. I'm trying to get a Guernsey hate mail is what I'm trying to get.
I know. I can't believe they haven't messaged us yet. I'm very confused.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, we gave you so many shout outs.
Yeah.
They gave up on us months ago.
They did. Yeah, they don't listen anymore.
No, that was...
We probably mispronounced the name of their country, and they just literally unsubscribed.
We did not. I've done my homework.
I did my research.
Guernsey's the thing.
You've got several environment cameras, just making sure you're checking on them. Mm-hmm. There they go. Mm-hmm. There's our listeners.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Fun fact, right now, misting in Guernsey. Misting.
God.
All about the Guernsey information.
Super.
All right. Parker, do you have a comic corner for us?
Oh, yeah. So, in honor of my boy, Nick Fury Jr., I brought out an oldie but a goodie. Mark Millar, who's I think he's redefined like 8 or 9 different comic brands, and that eventually turned into movies because that's how this guy writes.
I can tell you that I've heard his name before, which means he's extremely influential in the comic book world.
Right.
Because he's about the only person I fucking know.
Right. And this comic is penciled by Brian Hitch, which is a lesser-known talent, but he does a good job kind of setting the tone for the Ultimate Universe remake of the Avengers. They never actually call them Avengers in the Ultimate Universe. They're called, to borrow a word from the universe name, the Ultimates, rather than the Avengers. And it starts off with the story of Captain America, and which is kind of similar to the one we have in the classic Marvel universe. But then it flips to a very modern, present day New York City. And one of the things the Ultimates universe tried to do in general was reboot a lot of these classic stories in a way that makes a lot more sense, as if Captain America woke up in, this would have been 2000 and 2000 and I'm not gonna guess, in 2005 rather than 1960 something, which is what he woke up in the comic books, because comics have always had to try to kind of ad hoc tack on modernity to their comics, and so to make sense, because when Steve woke up about 20 years after he went to sleep, that wouldn't have been an insane shock. Like, okay, they have slightly larger, heavier cars that move the same speed. Like, it wouldn't have been like incredible, as opposed to a Steve Rogers waking up like he does in MCU's the first Avenger, where he actually wakes up and he immediately is freaking out because of the modern nature of the world. And so they redo a lot of stuff and retell a lot of stories, and this is also where we get the super famous Samuel L. Jackson version of Nick Fury, which is the one that the current Marvel Comics universe and the MCU are using. And I do not know whose design it was or whose idea it was to just make him exactly Samuel L. Jackson, but there's a tongue-in-cheek joke in the Ultimates comic in which the Avengers are becoming very popular in the world, and there talks about making a movie about them, and so all of the Avengers are taking turns. The Ultimates. This is not the Avengers. All the Ultimates are taking turns trying to guess who will play them in their movie, and then it gets to Fury, and they say, "Fury, who would play you?" He goes, "Only the one and only Samuel L. is going to play me," and you're just like, "Well, of course it is, because you literally you're penciled to look and you sound everything about you just screams Samuel L. Jackson with an eye patch." So, if you are curious to see how Mark Millar redid the Marvel universe from a completely different universe, and as soon as you start reading it, you realize how much of the MCU and all of the Disney Plus content borrows directly from this interpretation of the way the Avengers would have shown up if they weren't the Avengers, but in fact the Ultimates. I think it's an important comic book if you just want to enjoy the Marvel universe, even though now it doesn't exist. The Ultimates universe doesn't exist anymore. All the characters in this particular comic don't exist in the primary universe. They are still finding ways to write shadows and versions of these characters into the modern Marvel universe because of how clairvoyant and interesting, poignant, and important in a modern setting that Mark Millar did. That's what he does, right? He shows up and he says, "I think we could interpret this a different way and make it a lot more interesting for a reader," and so that's why we have the Ultimates as this is. Also, a little side note: this has my favorite version of Captain America, which is he's a super soldier, so he's supposed to be really super. And in the primary comics, original Marvel universe, he's just can run a little longer than a human, right? He has super.
He's like an Olympic athlete.
Yeah, but he has super stamina. Is the way they write him a lot. Is they say I can do this all day. That's the persona that he has. But in this one, he just fist fights the Hulk, just fist fights him, punches him in the fucking face, and he loses a tooth because he's a super soldier. He's supposed to be insanely strong for a person. So it's one of those things that the Ultimate Captain America is very much. He's not really a golden boy. He's more of a man's man, and he does just he's very, very strong, literally a super soldier. So it's a really amazing scene where Captain America fights the Hulk, and it's not just him throwing his shield and running away. It's I'm just gonna fight you and kick you in the leg and take out your knee, and then I'm going to punch you in the face and knock out your teeth, and you're going to have to fight me because I'm as strong as you. So it's pretty cool. If you want, I recommend if you skipped the Ultimates because it's from 2005 and the universe doesn't exist anymore, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's up there with the Dark Knight and some of the Wolverine stuff Mark Millar has touched. It just redefining characters is what he does, and it's amazing.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that's all we have time for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to our random ramblings. This has been Brandon. I boycott the forums.
And Parker, I still might go Dr. Mantis Toboggan MD, and I fully endorse all the forum posts not about rules.
This has been Jeremy. Stop playing sinister scoundrels, whatever the fuck the S's are for.
And this has been This Syndicate is Too Damn Sinister.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
We did it. Another
Here
podcast.
we go.
Mm-hmm. Or rather,
in the tank.
you did it.
Down the tubes. Yeah.
You did it. Is really. We just showed up. You're the one who had to crawl through the muck and the mire to get here.
I was standing in 2 inches deep, like what looked like hot chocolate yesterday.
Yeah.
How was that?
Pretty cool. I chose to wear actual shoes instead of flip flops. My feet hurt. I have you ever like you have that day where you're like moving and you have bruises in your hand where your bones are, just all where the bones are.
Oh
I have that on every surface of my body.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's a bone there. Yep, there's a bruise. I don't have the best knees anymore because I used to do martial arts. And so, yeah, getting on my knees to lay carpet is not the best.
It
Yeah,
didn't
so yeah,
look
those-
very much fun.
You had those large knee pads on. I was kind of jelly of them whenever I've done tile work.
Yeah. Well, it kind of depends. Like yesterday, my knees were fine because I didn't do any carpet laying. But Sunday and Monday were horrific. Like, it got to the point where I just couldn't get on my knees anymore. It was just too painful. So I had to sit down on my butt and lay carpet tiles. And so I'm like scooching, like try to lay a tile and then like scooch across the tile. It was so stupid. It's like, but my knees just couldn't take it anymore.
Are those glued
So
down,
anyway,
or are they like stickers?
no, they just sit loose on top. So don't go like taking a running start. You'll just slide. Yeah, of course they're glued down.
No, that's why I said, are they glued or are they like stickers? I thought, I don't know.
They're called peel and stick, but it's glue. Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Post-it glue. It stays sticky
Mm-hmm.
over long periods of time. So if you have like one of the carpet tiles gets damaged or something, you just peel it up and put down a new one. Or if it's like something gets spilled, you can peel it up, take it outside, and wash it off with a hose,
Mm-hmm.
and then just bring it back in and put it down.
No shit.
Yeah, because the carpet we're using is made from recycled water bottles, and so it's non-porous. It's just plastic string, and so it's completely waterproof.
Right.
So for people that don't know at home listening, the store I manage called The Geekery in Shawnee, Kansas, we are expanding and remodeling, and so we're putting in carpet in about 4,200 square feet, and we're replacing a bunch of older stuff and just generally making the store look a lot nicer and have a lot better amenities. And so part of that has been ripping out old carpet, chiseling up old tile, and scrubbing concrete with brooms and mops, and then squeegeeing them dry repeatedly. Because there's just so much like dust and like old drywall grit and everything on the concrete that you have to scrub it like 3 times and then mop it like 2 or 3 more times and then do like multiple rinse coats just to get all the muck off the top. And then it's like actually clean and the like carpet will stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy, have you seen it since
Yes.
you were there Monday, right?
I was there Monday. All that dust was murdering me. Like my allergy day became 10 times worse. And then
we even shut the door to try to keep the dust out.
yeah, that was extreme. I kind of felt bad playing Brandon Shelley. Like my attitude was not great. Like my allergies were killing me and I just was miserable, and I did something dumb, which is I said, "Don't worry, I'm not playing Thanos," and he plays fucking Hulk on me, and like it was just miserable. Like if there's a Hulk in your list, I'm playing Thanos. Like fucking deal. Like we've chosen the nuclear option.
Does Hulk just lay over like a puppy for Thanos? Is that what happened?
Jeremy just doesn't know how to play without his safety blanket.
Not exactly.
Oh boy.
I feel like
So,
I feel like Hulk could actually hurt Thanos. Could he not?
He can.
No,
It's a whole.
He could if he could get there.
He has to use one of his actions to get back in the fight.
Yeah.
Not both. She-Hulk has to use both. It's real bad.
Yeah, the problem She-Hulk is completely negated with 2 power off of Thanos.
Hulk can
Just
still
like
deal.
walk short, place 2, never talk to me again, and you just don't have to worry about it. Hulk, because he's got the leap, can cross the distance and get an attack on you. She-Hulk, all she can do is double move and throw, and that doesn't really even do anything because he's so resilient to collisions because he's got the damage reduction.
Right.
It's so hard for him to actually take meaningful damage from She-Hulk.
Anywho, yeah. So I felt bad. My allergies were real bad. Like, my nose was so raw and, like, just coughing and ugh. I just felt terrible.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No,
The
no.
game room
I knew.
is open again. It's just going to be, we're not going to be probably finished with the renovation until probably Monday. It's going to be the first time it's, like, done.
That's cool.
And that will be glorious because I will be able to sleep. I've already worked 40-something hours this week.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I had today off.
Have you caught up on Moon Knight?
No.
I have not watched the episode today. I heard it was, some of my students told me it was very good. I would be very pleased.
My review of Moon Knight is the first episode was pretty good. I liked it. That's my review of Moon Knight.
Each episode
I did
is
finally
about
finish,
as good. Yeah.
I did finally finish Boba Fett.
Did you like that?
It was alright. The whole show felt like forced fan service, but considering that, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I still haven't got back into it. I watched half of it and then didn't finish.
Literally, the entire show is just like that fucking Patton Oswalt fan fiction from Parks and Rec.
Oh, God.
Yeah, a little bit.
It literally is that. It's like they just let Patton Oswalt write the show.
Yep. That's 100% legit.
How did your card gaming tournament go?
Pretty well.
I heard you placed like top 10 or something.
I did. I placed. So we drove up Saturday morning, which do not recommend getting up at 4:30 in the morning personally.
I was up 4:30 in the morning on Saturday.
Yeah, but you didn't go to bed at 3:30 in the morning.
That's
on
your
Saturday,
problem.
Did you?
It was 12:30.
That's your problem. Come to my house, it'd be my problem. So anyway, yeah, we loaded in the car. We met up at the Geekery at about 6 o'clock. We got on the road, got in at like 9 something, I want to say. Yeah, it was like 9:15. Registration was at 10. We got started at like 11:25. It was 7 rounds, which I was really surprised. It's been a long time since I played 7-round tournament. I'm not used to playing card games. I was playing Universus My Hero Academia format. It's super fun, actually. I actually enjoyed 6 of my opponents. They were actually really cool people. We got to chatting a little bit. I only had one guy who was I didn't have fun playing, who was just a typical competitive like Magic player. It's like doesn't talk to you, basically ignores everything you're doing, and just isn't a like communicative person.
Huh.
But anyway, he was just really rude. So I just didn't talk to him very much. He did the typical like card game player like slow play crap where it's like, I'm going to try and draw this out for as long as possible. That way, when time gets called, I have a slight advantage. I'm like, or we could just finish the game in like half the time, but whatever. But yeah, it was actually a pretty good time. I was very annoyed with the lunch break situation, but that wasn't the fault of the people running the event. It was the store, Legendary Wolf Games, is inside of a mall, and so they have a food court.
Uh-huh.
And so they gave us an hour for lunch. We go to the food court, and I ordered, one of the kiosks was grilled cheese sandwiches. I was like, well, that sounds decent. Like, I just want something to get me through the event, because we're going to dinner after. So I ordered a grilled cheese sandwich and a Coke. And my order ticket time, Parker, would you like to guess how long it took me to get a grilled cheese sandwich and a Coke?
18 minutes.
Jeremy, do you want to venture a guess that isn't child's play?
A grilled cheese sandwich, it's got to be like 7 minutes.
Okay. 55 minutes was my ticket time.
What?
55 minutes on a 1-hour lunch break. It took me 4 minutes to walk to the stall. So when he was handing me my sandwich, my round timer was supposed to start. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was so pissed.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very upset.
Is there a million people?
So ended up, yeah, there was a lot of people waiting on food. So they ended up pushing the lunch timer to like an hour 20. I got to my table. I was 3 minutes late after I washed my hands and went to the bathroom. And I met another guy that was pretty cool. I ended up going 5-2 on the day, which was good enough for 14th place. I only lost to, obviously, 2 people. One of them got 2nd place, I believe. He's the 3-time world champion. I found out later. And the other guy I lost to, which was the guy who I thought was rude, got like 5th place. So I lost to 2 of the top 8ers. So I had really good strength of schedule. And I ended up getting 14th. Which was perfect because top 8 played on Sunday, which I couldn't play because I had to come home and work. And so I got top 16, which got double price support everybody else. I was like, awesome. So I got double price support and don't have to play tomorrow. And I got to leave. Like, it was the best.
God, there you go.
Yeah, it was really fun. But it was mostly just like, there was 5 of us in the SUV, just like bullshitting the whole way up and down. We stayed in a hotel room on Saturday night, and we were all drinking in the room and everything. It was pretty fun.
Nice. It's good to get out and go to these things and see real people and do real things.
Yeah, so I would have been at the tournament Jeremy went to, but this event that I went to got posted 2 weeks prior to the Springfield event getting posted. So I'd already bought a ticket, owed somebody money for the ticket, like we were splitting a room, we were carpooling, and then this other tournament gets posted that I would have rather have gone to. I was like, God damn it, like this is so annoying. But anyway, Parker, how was your weekend?
It was all family. I've been like family man for the past, like 8 or 9 days. And it's going to keep continuing because it's Easter coming up. So that's going to be just family. That's pretty much all I get to do. That and a few video games. But
I feel like he's rubbing it in our face, Brandon.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that his weekend was terrible.
I followed. Let's just say I followed the LCQ quite closely.
I don't know what an LCQ is.
Oh gosh, I keep saying LCQ. Why do I keep calling it LCQ? LVO.
Qualifier.
Yeah.
Just say qualifier.
The LVO. Just say
LVOQ.
I follow. Yeah, LVO.
LVOQ.
Sure. I follow the news. I spent the weekend being a good grandson and a good dad and a good husband. That's what I did. I didn't get to play any games except for a few video games, but I dreamed of getting to play games again. I'm excited to get to.
Yeah, I felt like I haven't played Marvel in like a month and a half, even though was the last time I played Adepticon? Shit, I think it was.
That sounds right.
Yeah, the last time I played a game was Adepticon. I'm really sad. I want to play more games. I should really like put my time and energy into developing a space in which I can play games on a regular basis.
One thing I have noticed, and I don't know if it's just like in the past. I feel like it's in the past like week, really. I don't think I'm making this up. The frequency of like posting in our Discord, like the
picking up a lot.
Our infamous Discord.
I told you it was coming.
And the messages. Like we have the Facebook message channel and stuff like that. It's just going off. People constantly asking questions, obviously making lists, asking for when people are playing, and there's a lot of week with the usual weeknight that we play Thursdays. It's just there's a lot of other games going on everywhere and people talking about them. Different communities connecting to ours too. It's been really exciting. It is really hard not to get excited about the game when you see so many people gearing up also.
My first order of business after we get the remodel complete is I'm going to start pushing our events out further and further. I'm going to get everything scheduled 6 months out, and I'm going to get it all cross-posted on Best Coast Pairings, Facebook, Google Calendar, and our website. It's all going to be inter-shared with links and everything, and so everyone will know when our events are going to be way in advance, and they can share them with other people. Then once I'm done with that, I'm going to build these kits. Here, I can show you guys on the webcam. I have 10 tables worth of terrain sitting on my table right here, waiting to be assembled and painted by John. And so I have to get them together and give them to John, just so he can get them like painted. And we're going to have 10 full tables worth of official store use MCP terrain.
Nice.
Cool. And then I'm going to also have like my 4 tables if we need it.
Good.
Yep. So I'm very excited. Things are looking up in the gaming community for the first time in a long time. But yeah, there's been a lot of people sending me like their list, like tinkerings and stuff. I'm like, dude, I wish I could respond to this. I'm so busy. Oh, I did remember though. I played last week at our local event. I totally forgot about that.
You did.
Because I played in that instead of the card game tournament, because I was going to play cards last weekend.
Yeah, I've played like a year's worth of games in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, you have played a bunch. I am excited that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Living vicariously through you.
So, Jeremy, I got word back from Aaron. He says he's not going to come on the podcast. It's okay. He expects Jeremy's just going to shit talk him the whole time anyway.
That's fine.
Yeah. So you have his permission to shit talk Aaron.
Well, with permission or not, I will shit talk people. I don't care.
Happening. It's happening.
Like, if... You know what grinds my gears?
Yeah.
One of those segments? Yeah.
Oh, boy. Sorry, I'm going to be low energy today. I'm really trying to stay focused, but I'm fading. Oh, Parker, I see what you put in the document. That's funny.
Oh, what the?
All right, the mental. Brandon spends all of his mentals. Yeah. All right. Oh, I think I would rather this be in the pre-ramble. I don't know. Maybe I should save this for the actual episode. Nah, let's do this in the pre-ramble. Did you see who responded to our episode 80 post?
No.
No.
Ominous.
Nice.
He gave us the ringing endorsement is I don't disagree with all of the arguments in this episode.
Nice.
Because he told me that he listened to our X-Men review and he was like, oh my god, I am so angry.
Oh, no.
So yeah, he's apparently we're either getting good or he just is hating us less. One of the two.
Yeah.
Got it.
Ominous listens to us. I don't care.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty cool, right? Hopefully, all of our listeners
are
are still sending all of their rules complaints directly his way, so he can forward them on to Pagani and Schick. That's the best way to get a hold of Pagani and Schick is through Ominous.
Mm-hmm. I heard that 3 messages is how many it takes to actually get his attention as well. So.
If he doesn't respond immediately, that's your indication to try harder. Just keep hammering away at the send button until he responds.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to listen after today.
Nope.
It's just going to make him stressed out.
All done.
Yeah.
No, I think he's going to listen even more. I think the fact
he's going to listen even more, so that way he knows where the
we,
messages are coming from.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Because if he doesn't listen to every episode, how could he know what people are asking about? He needs to now.
All right, are you guys ready to get into it? Today might be a little bit of a short episode.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's get a start time in here.
Boom. You did it.
You like that? Is that a good one?
You did it.
Oh boy. I was surprised we rambled for as long as we did. I thought it was going to be much shorter.
It's because we're pros, Brandon. Fucking pros.
We're big damn pros. That's right.
I tell you one thing that nobody has. We need to get some fucking merch. As in some, I want some table, like measuring, like the 5, the 3, the 2, the 4.
Oh, that's easy. Like, I can get you those tomorrow.
That'd be awesome.
Would it be?
It'd be cool, yeah.
People care about that shit too.
So, what would you maybe? So we're still recording, so people will hear this. But would you rather have just the simple acrylic ones, or would you want like the whole shebang like Parker has? I saw a lot of people with that Cog of 2 tray at Adepticon. Now, personally, I don't plan on using it, so it's not been particularly inspiring for me.
I'm thinking the range rulers, and I don't know if you can fit something on movement, the movement stuff, but range rulers is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think the range rulers would be cool. I think that's a fun...
Just range rulers.
Just range rulers.
Yeah, I mean...
And you want to have the infamous logo, and that's about it?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Infamous, just like, you can say like infamous and then KC Mo or some sort of like thing, you know?
You want to say KC Mo on it?
No, not Mo.
Or,
I was gonna say, it's like none of us live in Missouri, but
Mocan, whatever. I don't know. Something.
Mocan.
I don't know.
Mo.
Just do I would just say just infamous.
Yeah, I was just gonna do infamous with our logo.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Should we do the like? It's inspiring sensationals. Like I can't fucking remember it.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Oh,
Just do
yeah.
that only on the 5. It's all spelled
All
out
across
on
the
Yeah,
bottom.
there you go.
That'd be great. It was really there was a ton of people from different podcasts at that qualifier, and I didn't.
Mm.
I was like, oh yeah, so okay. I'm like, which one is who? I'm like, I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. That's how I felt like at Adepticon. That's like I didn't even know Ominous 100% on site. I'm like, you look like the guy I used to play War Machine with back in the day. Are you Ominous? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. How do I get to be an LVO qualifier? Like, that's all I said to him.
Is he organizing it, or just you just knows who is?
He is involved with LVO, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't go out and listen to stuff like this because I don't have fucking time. I barely have time to sleep right now. So it's lower down my priority list, and usually when I have time to listen to stuff, I'm trying to catch up on sports news because I don't want to actually watch sports television because it's all trash. But yeah, I try and follow like during the Chiefs season, I try and follow specific sports outlet news. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm trying to catch up on audiobooks because that's about the only thing I have time for. And so a lot of my audio mediums go through that, and so I'm very behind. Like, for example, I'm still like a month behind on my sports podcasts I listen to. I just haven't listened to them in so long because I haven't had time.
Well, I have a 45-minute journey to work and 45 minutes home.
Yeah, so I could obviously I have a 25-minute drive to work and from, and then a lot of times at work I'll have slower times where I can just play them out loud at work, and I still can't get through them.
Yeah,
Like it's been crazy.
yeah. My trek to work and back is funny because it's an hour and a half when all said and done. So like it's perfect time. I get to almost listen to a podcast every day, almost all the way through.
I used to miss the Muse on Minis episodes. They were 3.5 hours twice a week.
Yeah.
Those things were brutal. But it was great because I worked in a warehouse. I just had my earphones in all day. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to catch up on 3 months of Muse podcasts this week. Like, holy shit. All right. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? I'm fading real hard.
I'm
Let's do
tired.
it. I'm tired too.
I would love to say I'll play games with you guys tomorrow, but it's just not going to happen.
Not.
My wife has her Quilt Guild thing, so if I'm there, it'll be maybe too late for a game. But
Well, I'll be there till fucking close.
will
Quilt
you be
guilding?
conscious?
I will be conscious enough. I mean, I just had a day off, so how tired could I be, right?
Yeah.
I'm still getting like second day muscle pain from Monday. I haven't even gotten Tuesday's muscle pain yet.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready?
Yes.